Live from ClickOrlando.com, News 6 Plus, and WKMG. We're getting results in your neighborhood now at 6:30 p.m.
Now at 6:30, after a stormy day across Central Florida, relief is in sight when all the rain will move out and the big change left behind.
This little cap right here, it's $2. That $2 would have saved this life, and hopefully this lawsuit will save many others.
He says that cap could have prevented the blast that killed a mom of 3, who her family says is to blame, and how they are seeking justice. Good evening. This is News 6 at 6:30 Getting Results. Thank you for joining us here live on News 6 Plus. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
And I'm Justin Mormith. When we hit the road to zip code 32771, I met some families who have lived in a quiet neighborhood for years, even decades. Quiet that was disrupted by a noisy new neighbor.
Trucks in the morning are extremely loud. Trucks late evening, extremely loud. It actually shakes the house.
That is so close to these homes. Yeah. That's what's so jarring. And I saw it for myself. The Wekiva Parkway was built basically in their backyard, and they want results. They say there's a relatively simple solution. It is a lot of money. I'm asking why that stretch of parkway was built with no noise barrier. That's ahead in my Boomtown report.
But we start with what was a weather alert day. The good news, though, the most intense storms are gone and the rain has started to move on out.
Some good news there. Let's get over to Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells pinpointing what's left on the radar.
Still some activity ongoing that bears watching. We've got lightning strikes over here outside of Apopka. All the rain that punched through here earlier, that all came through with a wallop. I mean, there was some damage going on in Sumter County, but right now, in behind it, just appreciable rain, a lightning strike or two between Zellwood and Apopka. Montverde getting the rain just to the north of Oakland. This is collapsing kind of this way, so Oakland, you're next to get some of those showers. Over here from Bushnell to Webster to southern Sumter County, still raining there as well. So it's not really uniform. It depends on where you are as to how much of this you're picking up. Last hour's worth of radar echoes shows you that the big stuff has left us. All these little white circles you're seeing though, guys, every single white circle you see on the map, that is an area that had a high wind report this afternoon. And some of them were pretty doggone impressive, especially on the coast. Let's go check out that one right there. How much wind are we talking about? There you go. Tower right there measured a 70-mile-per-hour wind on the tower. Now it's up off the ground, but man, what a mess. We had high wind ongoing that has calmed down significantly here in the last couple of hours. Wind advisory still going for Brevard and Osceola until 8.
Thank you. And if the weather is getting bad where you are, and you can do so safely, take a photo or a video where you are, and then send us that video through the pins page on ClickOrlando.com. Thanks to Charlie in Daytona Beach. He sent us this video of their flooded street there. And you can also take out your phone right now and you can scan the QR code that you see on your screen. That'll take you right to the Pin It page.
Now at 6:30, our other top story, a grieving family files a lawsuit.
I need somebody held accountable. I can't say who. I'm not going to sit here and say who. I need somebody held accountable. She was home alone when this happened, and it wasn't her fault.
So that husband is looking for answers after his wife died after a possible gas explosion that destroyed their family. We showed you the scene at Woodhill Apartments early last month here on News 6. The explosion left the mom of 3 covered in burns. Now they have filed a wrongful death suit. The family had moved to Central Florida from Illinois for a fresh start. News 6's Emily McLeod sat down with their attorney.
Caller, is there an apartment number we have to go to?
We just heard a big boom, and the maintenance man just ran in and said we had an explosion in buildings.
911 calls and now a wrongful death complaint shedding more light on a deadly possible gas explosion at Woodhill Apartments back in March. Mike and Isha Mora died 8 days after the explosion on March 1st. Almost a month since her death, attorneys for Moore's family filed a wrongful death complaint against Woodhill Apartments, Highmark Residential, and Lake Apopka Natural Gas District.
I think the significance of this case is that we're hoping that this will be a safer city, state, and country by everybody looking around and making sure that if there's a gas line where an appliance was removed and not replaced with another appliance, that a cap was put on that line.
The complaint alleges the former tenant in Moore's apartment saw the fatal unplugged gas line was stuffed with a plastic garbage bag instead of being plugged. It goes on to say Woodhill Apartments failed to plug gas lines after appliances were disconnected by a previous tenant or the rental of a gas appliance had ended.
This is it right here. This little cap right here, it's $2. And if they had just carried these around in their pocket when they removed a dryer or they removed a stove and they put this cap on there, that $2 would have saved this life, and hopefully this lawsuit will save many others.
We went back to Woodhill Apartments to see how residents are coping a little more than a month after the explosion. Jacqueline Young says the community is still traumatized.
Now our kids are worried about when they come home if their mom or grandmother or any parent is going to be, in a situation the same as Mike and Nisha.
We reached out to Woodhill Apartments, Highmark Residential, and Lake Apopka Natural Gas District for comment. So far, we have not heard back. The family's attorney, Richard Troutman, tells us Starwood Property Trust is the parent company. And while they are not named in the lawsuit, we did reach out for comment. In Orlando, Emily McLeod, Getting Results, News 6.
Tonight, investigators are working to find out how a catastrophic fire destroyed an apartment complex in Altamont Springs. This started overnight, and now in the daylight, you can see just how badly the damage is here. This is where firefighters found a child dead, an elementary school student. And tonight, we're learning more about the victim and the families impacted by this heartbreaking tragedy. People have been starting to place flowers and balloons in front of the building that burned. The complex is along Ballard Street near Ronald Reagan Boulevard.
I heard an explosion, like a loud bang, and then I opened my door, and then, the neighbors who their house was on fire were basically telling me, hey, can you help, can you help, can you help?
Firefighters say it was too late for the child who was dead inside a unit on the second story. He was a student at Lake Orienta Elementary.
Unfortunately, you can do everything perfect sometimes, and tragedy still happens.
We were here at 4 a.m. We were able to talk to multiple families. We want to make sure that if they need anything, whether it's recovery assistance, whether they need emotional support services, that we're here for them.
In my situation, I'm a full-time dad. I spent years building this platform for her, and just all going.
We're told people were living in 10 of the 12 units. Firefighters say that there may have been no working smoke detectors. It'll be up to the fire marshal to investigate that, how this disaster happened as well, and if anything could have prevented it.
A drive along I-4 to Florida's Gulf Coast can be miserable because of all the congestion, especially through Champions Gate and Haines City. You've been there. But relief is on the way sooner than planned. Today, Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill speeding up road construction projects across the state. Two of the projects are in Central Florida, including the widening of I-4 lanes between US 27 and Polk County through Champions Gate to Osceola Parkway in Osceola County. Construction on the nearly 15-mile stretch will start later this year and hopefully will help with our boomtown population growth.
Some of these I-4 spots, it doesn't matter. You could end up bumper to bumper. Odd times when there's not even commuting. And so that has an impact on families, has an impact on commerce.
Now, the other project in Central Florida is the Poinciana Parkway Connector. When complete, it will connect the 429 I-4 area and Poinciana Parkway. It will be built in two phases. The first phase starting with the I-4 widening efforts. The governor says both projects are starting 10 to 20 years ahead of schedule.
Starting today, our WKMG team has officially hit the road for the 32771 zip code. That's in the Sanford area. And when I went there, neighbors living along a section of the Wekiva Parkway told me about a noisy problem anyone can understand. Traffic is just so loud that it rattles their homes. And I went out there and looked at a homeowner's backyard to see just how close that road was built. And you'll notice that there is not a sound wall or any type of barrier to block the noise. Neighbors say adding one of those would certainly get results.
These are 100-year-old great oaks that we have here that make for a unique experience.
Bill Wills showed us around his Seminole County neighborhood. It's fittingly called Tall Trees. And he's lived here since 1996.
It's small, it's 134 homes. We kind of all know each other. It's a very nice place to live, and that's what's really kept me here.
But one of his new neighbors is causing problems. the newly opened Wekiva Parkway.
That is so close to these homes. Yeah. That's what's so jarring is you had, before this was I would imagine for the folks who live in these two homes,
it's wide open.
Wide open.
One of those homeowners is Daryl Ely.
We lived in this section of tall trees since May of 1999.
Who said the noise is worse than he expected.
Trucks in the morning are extremely loud. Trucks late evening, extremely loud. Sometimes some of the trucks, when they're using their engine brakes, as I call them, I'm not sure what they actually are, it actually shakes the house.
I went over there to talk to construction workers while this was all being built to make sure that and he said to me, I didn't believe it would be this close. He was surprised it was this close to.
That's what he said?
Yep.
Wow.
Construction wrapped up on this section of the Wekiva Parkway in January. Since then, Wills and Ely have been pushing for solutions.
The only solution that I can see, I'm an ex-engineer, would be to have a sound wall, but the sound wall can't be just behind our property. It needs to be actually up close to the roadway.
You asked for some sort of noise canceling device.
Correct.
A sound barrier of some sort. What was the response when you asked that question?
Yeah, that's a good question. The density of our neighborhood, the number of homes per acre is too low to pay for sound barriers that would go along the expressway and basically reduce the noise level significantly. Although, if you go on 46, there's a sound wall in front of the RV park. And if you go over here by the apartment complex, the condos on the other side, they have a sound barrier as well. They just wouldn't build one here.
We've had FDOT here several times throughout the transition, taking all the trees out that used to be back there. Not much they're going to do, if anything.
Yeah, certainly a tough situation for those folks. Speaking of FDOT, I sent them a list of questions about the noise and maybe whether they can offer any solutions for the folks who do live in tall trees. At this point, I have not received anything back, but I was assured, Ginger, that they are preparing a statement and a response.
It's in the mail.
Just haven't, yes, I think it is, and it's certainly not on the express delivery package, but you know, it's so tough. You go out there and yes, the sound is bad, and the story, I don't know if it does it justice.
No,
especially we weren't there at 5 a.m. when someone's sleeping and it rattles their house and wakes them up.
But even with the sound bite, the traffic behind the gentleman was almost overpowering what he was saying, and that's just a regular day, you know. And he didn't choose to have that in his backyard.
That's another thing. I mean, those two gentlemen have lived there for 25, 30 years. They moved there. They have no idea that this was even an idea. Certainly, they didn't know once this all started that it would be that close to their neighborhood, and you know, it's certainly tough. You know that. As I said, there's a sound barrier at the RV park nearby, at some apartment complexes. Those folks, they can move easily a little bit, more easily. You know, it's a rent situation.
Sure.
With an RV park, similar. These people own their homes, and I don't know what that does to property values. I hope that they're okay, but you just got to feel for them. And again, we hope that we can provide some sort of solution, some sort of way to get results, whatever that may look like. And listen, I'm not FDOT. I don't know what that looks like.
I know.
But something
has to be done. You really feel for those people, especially the long timers.
Right.
If you just move in now, you know what you're getting. But if you built a house and there was a grassy area out back,
there's a bunch of trees and things like that.
That's not what you signed up for. Well, we have more stories from the 32771 zip code all week on News 6. In minutes, you will meet a father-daughter team who have a legacy of protecting students at one school for decades. And next Wednesday, we'll be taking our newscast live to downtown Sanford.
But if there's a story you think we should know about in that corner of Central Florida, take out your phone right now, scan this QR code. It takes you right to the Hits the Road page on clickorlando.com.
All right, tonight's top trending story on clickorlando.com takes us about 35 miles north of downtown Sanford. For a pretty bizarre story, it's out of Daytona Beach.
Yeah, one that has cost a Florida Highway Patrol trooper his job, and you may be wondering, what was he thinking? So here's the headline: Trooper accused of breaking into Daytona Beach Hooters, stealing beer taps. Yeah, you heard that right, stealing beer taps. This all unfolded about a week ago. Early last Thursday morning, an officer was checking out reports of a prowler. He noticed broken glass outside the Hooters on West International Speedway Boulevard. It says 49-year-old David Baker was behind the building, loading something into the bed of his truck. He reportedly told the officer he was looking for somewhere private to, quote, relieve himself. But the officer saw broken glass on his shoes. The arrest report says surveillance video shows someone shattered the window with a cinder block as well. A few minutes later, they say it shows Baker going inside and then removing 4 beer taps. So
he was relieving the store of beer taps.
Apparently so. And police say the beer taps were found in the bed of his truck.
Boy, that investigation wrapped up really
That
fast.
was a pretty easy one.
The damage, about $2,000. Troopers tell us Baker was fired the very next day. All right, well, this is awkward. But the second of our top trending stories involves yours truly, Justin.
Hey now.
All week, I'm taking News 6 insiders on a behind-the-scenes tour of the Drew Barrymore Show.
Welcome, welcome. You look so fabulous.
Did you know you can watch Drew on News 6?
Did you know that you can watch Ginger on News 6?
Join Drew weekdays at 3 p.m. for the Drew Barrymore Show.
And then stay tuned at 4 p.m. to watch Ginger kickstart your afternoon local news.
That's right.
I still giggle like a kid every single time I see this. I can't believe it happened.
Surreal, huh?
Yeah, I really had the best time
That's
meeting
really cool.
Drew and Ross and bringing some of the best Orlando has to a national audience. That happened back in February, if you can believe that. Those are those kabuki ribs. But this week, News 6 insiders can watch segments from my video journal of that trip. I'll be answering your questions live online tomorrow afternoon, I believe starting at around 3:15. So if you have any questions, you can submit them right now at clickorlando.com/insider. You do need to sign up, but it is free and it only takes a few moments. I really want to know if you have any questions. Justin, do you have any questions? Save it.
I do have questions, and I know that we've already talked about this several times, not just on air, but in person, because I am curious. You see a star like Drew Barrymore and you wonder how they are as a person in real life when the cameras are not rolling. I'm not going to take it away because I think somebody will ask that question.
Yeah, tune in. If they don't, I'm going to answer it anyway.
All right, so each week in Boomtown, I show you where people are moving to Central Florida, right? Well, tonight's final trending story, the top one. These are the best places to live in Florida. Which city ranked number 1? That story was uncovered by clickorlando.com and News 6 digital producer Anthony Talcott.
All right, Tony, this is an annual ranking by U.S. News and World Report. I read Sarasota was number 1, so how did some Central Florida cities do here?
Yeah, well, Ginger, Justin. So several local cities ranked pretty high on that list. Now, how high? Well, after Sarasota, Naples came in second. But this year's number 3 is Melbourne. Now, the ranking says people living there love watching rocket launches, but also praise Melbourne's O'Galley Arts District, I'm hoping I'm saying that right.
You are.
Historic downtown and natural attractions like the Indian River Lagoon. Now, Daytona Beach came in 7th, praised for its museums, theaters, and the pier and speedway. Not to mention its beach. Now, of course, the city beautiful, Orlando, came in 8th on the list, saying, quote, every facet of Orlando combines to create one of Florida's most appealing areas for business, living, and recreation.
I agree.
I like that description.
Yeah, that's really nice,
Oh, yeah.
right?
No, it's pretty apt. So, and by the way, Ocala came in 11th, just shy of the top 10. Now, you can check out the full rankings and let us know what you think on the homepage of clickorlando.com.
I agree with all those cities, and especially Orlando, because when I first moved here, I did not think I was going to love it as much as I do.
Oh, yeah.
So many people say that too, right?
I know, because you have one thing in your mind. You think, oh gosh, theme parks, you're just going to be inundated all day. There is so much rich culture and diversity here. I love it.
My favorite thing is when you grow up here, so many people who I went to high school with, even college with, they want to leave, right? They want to go somewhere else other than Orlando. You know how many people come back? The vast majority. They go, you know what? It is actually a pretty cool place, and there's something for everyone.
Yeah,
No
glad
doubt
I'm
about
here.
that.
Glad you're here
Beautiful
too,
region.
Anthony. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank you. Another trending story, you can own a piece of Disney's Fort Wilderness, even call it home.
Yeah, we're going to tell you how later on News 6 at 6:30. But first, as WKMG hits the road, we're meeting one of the first school resource officers at Sanford's Middle School. Decades later, his daughter took that very same job. A father-daughter duo truly getting results and protecting our community. That's next. Tom.
Take a look at radar. Now, the tornado watch boxes are long since gone. They left us more than 2 hours ago, but heavy rain is still here. We talked about this. The big punch is gone, but still some heavy scattered showers moving through. I'll be back to pinpoint these when they finally get out of here and how much cooler things are going to be tomorrow.
Plus, Trooper Steve takes part in a community celebration for a local woman who turned, listen to this, 108 years young.
Spring chicken. You're watching News 6 at 6:30 live on News 6 Plus. We're getting results in Palm Coast, Lady Lake, and all of Central Florida. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Now at 6:30, when WKMG hits the road for zip code 32771, we met a father-daughter duo who have helped protect Sanford Middle School over the past several decades.
This is quite the story here. Officer Mike Taylor became one of the first school resource officers there while his daughter was a student. Later, she took over as SRO. News 6 anchor Eric Von Anken caught up with both of them today to see how they're protecting our community.
I remember when they built this.
For retired police lieutenant Mike Taylor, this was just a job at the time when he was Sanford's second ever school resource officer here at Sanford Middle.
I remember finishing 6th grade, and that was the last year that they had the old building before they tore it down.
I missed the old building. It was something else.
It creaked a lot. It was scary for a 6th grader.
Back now, more than 3 decades later, with his daughter, now wearing the same uniform he once wore, he realizes the job shaped his life and so many others.
Former Lieutenant Mike Taylor, with your daughter here, now Officer Tammy Townsend, you both went to school here.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike, you went to school here?
In the 60s at junior high. My mom went here when it was a high school.
Your mom went here?
Yep.
So you're all Sanford natives. I mean, truly
Yes.
Sanford natives.
Yes.
So Mike, you became SRO here at Sanford Middle in 1989.
Correct.
And you were only the second SRO from Sanford here ever.
Correct.
Well, at the time, I don't think I was very fond of him being my SRO.
Okay, let's be real. You probably hated it. Because he's watching you all the time.
I did.
So when did that change? Because then you started in the Police Explorer program because of your dad, because he was an advisor in the Explorer program.
Because I was seeing, when I was here, I could see the relationship that he did have with the kids here, and they looked up to him.
Clearly, your dad has had a huge influence on your life.
He definitely has had a huge influence. Truly my hero, truly.
I want to read this to you. So the Sanford Police Department posted on their Facebook page, hey, today is SRO Day, SRO Appreciation Day. And someone out of the blue writes, I had the best SRO when I was in school, retired Michael Taylor, you sir, he had such an impact on our lives. This is decades later.
Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty neat. I mean, some of them are like 50 years old, 49, coming up and talking to me. Some that actually made police officers, probably 30 or more.
Did you ever see it working out this way, either of you?
It was probably the best job I ever had.
I didn't see it working out this way, but I'm surely glad it did.
Protecting our community in Sanford.
Because there's not a lot of people that can say this.
Eric Von Aken getting results.
I love you, Daddy.
Love you.
Thank you for everything that you've done.
News 6.
How sweet is that?
I love that story so much.
It's so, I mean, we were just saying, who remembers their SRO, especially if it's been decades later?
You got to be special.
And
you
not have gotten into trouble.
Special. And that also. True. Yeah, you remember them for the good, not for the bad,
Not for
right?
the bad, yeah.
Absolutely. By the way, we have invited Officer Tammy and her dad, Mike, to our WKMG Hits the Road live broadcast.
That is just 1 week from tonight at Hollerbock's German Restaurant in downtown Sanford, starting at 4 p.m. We, of course, would love to see you there.
Yeah. Grab a boot, grab some Venus Schnitzel.
Is it a yard? What is
a boot?
A boot. Okay.
Das Boot, yeah.
I don't drink a lot of beer. All right, speaking of Sanford, when the whole town comes out to celebrate your birthday, it's gotta be something pretty special.
Neighbors near and far made a visit to Alice on her 108th birthday.
God.
Trooper Steve also stopped by the sweet celebration.
From all of us here at WKMG News 6, we want to wish Alice a happy 108th birthday. It is an absolute pleasure to be part of this celebration, using Results One and just showing appreciation. We've got almost every level of government represented here in Seminole County.
My goodness. Happy birthday
What
to
a
her.
great celebration.
That is for sure. Okay, you can go back and watch today's full Trooper Steve on patrol here on News 6 Plus, Smart TV app, and at clickorlando.com/onpatrol. When Alice, if I may call her Alice, was born, gas was 12 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
And women couldn't even vote when she was born.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
By far.
Yeah. So 4 years later, they would get the right to vote.
And they'd have to figure out a way to figure out what the weather was doing as well. I think you just kind of like, whatever. I think it's coming. 100 years ago, Tom, I don't know. I think you just
Put your
guessed.
finger in the
Right.
It would have been a lot harder. Take a look. I can't even remember what year did the National Weather Service start. It was I think it was late 1800s. Take a look at what's going on tonight on live weather radar. Certainly didn't have this. Certainly couldn't point at a screen and make the radar move. Here's Apopka. Here's 441, heavy rain and a couple of lightning strikes just outside of Ocoee. Montverde still getting some rain as well, all the way back out west to Claremont. Scattered showers still ongoing. Now behind that, it is finally going to start to calm down. But it's been hours, more than 2 hours since it really rocked. And the heaviest of the lightning strikes and all the mess. Look how far away the big squall line is. It's way out there. This stuff is what we talked about earlier. Coming in behind the big punch, heavy rain still ongoing, and even some pretty decent wind ongoing. Every time you see one of these white circles pop up, that's an area that reported some high wind this afternoon. Look, just outside of Rockledge, how much wind do we have? There you go, the weather flow site in the Banana River had a wind gust of 40 miles per hour. Some of the others were like a lot more than that. Let's go to this one. Check it out. There you go, a 54 mile per hour wind from the southwest. So it was a tough run this afternoon. The wind advisory still goes until at least 8 for Brevard and Osceola. We are going to start to calm it down. And even over there in Brevard County, you guys have a 13 mile per hour wind in Melbourne. That's a lot calmer than you were 2 hours ago. We had a 32 sustained wind, 32 mile per hour sustained wind this afternoon right here in Orlando at OIA. It was windy. We're doing better now. Our high today was 88, the low this morning 71. Light Orlando delivering Hope Camera 66 degrees, rapidly improving and rapidly cooling. Look at Brevard County, Launch Credit Union Camera 69, Daytona Toyota DeLand Kia Camera 67. Temps where you live 64 Gainesville, 66 Palm Coast. 70 degrees right now in Cocoa Beach is my last 70. Everyone finally cooler than we were last night. 18 degrees colder in Orlando than we were 24 hours ago. Here comes our cold front now. The thing's going to blast all the way to the islands tonight. Here's tomorrow at 7 p.m. Reinforcing shot of colder air does come in for the weekend. A couple of them, in fact, that will make all the difference in the world as we go through the weekend. We don't warm up past the 70s for just about as far as we can see until this time next week. So tonight, still some scattered showers, but leaving, calming on down into the overnight. Lows tonight, 50s and 60s. Orlando 61. Here's tomorrow.
Your forecast is sponsored by Florida Lottery.
High tomorrow, 76 with sunshine, but it's really, really windy into the afternoon. 76 tomorrow, same for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We finally climb back to 80.
Tom, thank you. Well, whether you use a tent or like to glamp it up, Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort celebrates the great outdoors.
That's right. Now you can bring a piece of Fort Wilderness home or even make it your own tiny home. When News 6 at 6:30 continues, our insider guide, Crystal Moyer, shows us why hundreds of cabins will soon be for sale. We're back in just 2 minutes. Welcome back to News 6 at 6:30. It's known for a backwoods feel, the Hoop-de-Doo musical review, and showing movies by campfire. But every night, thousands of Disney fans go camping, or glamping, really, at the Fort Wilderness Resort.
I'm taking the glamping option. Well, now you can own a piece of Fort Wilderness and go glamping in your own backyard or even make it your own tiny home. News 6 Insider Guide and morning anchor Crystal Moyer shows us how.
Would you like to own a piece of Disney World history? I'm News 6 anchor and insider guide Crystal Moyer, and several Fort Wilderness cabins are now on the market. We spotted this ad on Facebook Marketplace, advertising the sale of tiny house resort cabins. Look familiar? Well, it's actually the cabins once housed at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground for about 25 years. Dream Life Mobile Homes is selling the cabins, a representative saying that they acquired the units from the company who cleared out the old cabins and invited me to take a look inside. The cabins are about 500 square feet of space with one bed and one bath, and they come fully furnished with a pull-out couch, TVs, beds, and appliances. You'll just need to connect the AC, electrical, and water. You won't find any Disney photos or paintings that are usually hanging on the wall, but the original Fort Wilderness moose lights are still intact. You may even snag some Joffrey's coffee packets left inside some of the units. How much does all this cost? Nearly $50,000. And they'll deliver the cabins to you if you live locally or figure out another option. According to Disney Vacation Club, 350 of these cabins are being replaced by new modern-looking cabins with more energy-efficient features. Here are concept photos inside. Renovations are also coming to the resort pool, walking trails, and some dining areas at Fort Wilderness. If you're interested in one of these cabins, I posted the seller's information on clickorlando.com/insider. As for the new Vacation Club cabins at Fort Wilderness, in Orlando, Crystal Moyer, getting results, News 6.
Sign me up for one of those
that's
right
pretty
now.
cool. That's
You just
pretty
need a
cool.
place to put it.
Yeah, not a lot of space though. They're kind of small.
I feel like in the parking lot of News 6.
There we go.
You're home already.
Absolutely. Looks like kind of like a
500
Lincoln
square feet.
That's all you need, Tom. That's just you and your thoughts all day.
It looked like a Lincoln log display, didn't it?
I like it.
At
I like
scale
it.
too.
Hey, thank you so much for watching News 6 at 6:30. Stream News 6 online anytime on our News 6 Plus Smart TV app.
We break news on clickorlando.com. We'll see you back here at 11. Take care.